In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah.
Let's go.
This is Blood
What's happening,
Politics.
guys? Hit that like button on the way.
The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics.
What's up, Lapov?
And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism, speak out against injustice, and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics. And we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet. And we ain't gonna be scared. And we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics. And it ain't about left or right. It ain't about Dem or Republican. It's about right and wrong. It's about us versus them. This is Blood Politics. And we gonna do what we gotta do.
So what do you say we just jump right into things? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the show. It is the 4th of March, 2026, and I do appreciate you for taking some time out to join the show. Hit that like button, make it worth make it worth your while, make it worth the show's while. Subscribe to the channel if you can. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. What's going on, Chad? How's everybody doing? Shout out to everybody on this space as well. Shout out to Matt and the mods. You guys are fantastic. And as always, I appreciate being a part of the coalition. Make sure if you're not subscribed over there to this space that you head over there after the show and make sure you subscribe over there. So I appreciate you guys. Let's check in the chat ski. What's going on, chat? How's everybody doing? Let's throw you on the page here. Let's throw you on. You deserve some screen time. You deserve some screen time. What's up, Carol? What's up, Roxanne? What's going on, Laurie? What's up, Yakov? What's up, Kyle? What's up, Sammy? Appreciate you. What's up, sister? To all, Ukraine strong is right. We'll have a lot more about Ukraine updates this evening on the later show. We only have about an hour on this show, so we're kind of flying through a bunch of different topics, a bunch of different things to cover. What's going on, Willie? What's up, Her Story? How are you? Appreciate you guys, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Make sure you hit that like button. What's up, Peter? What's going on, guys? I appreciate you very, very much, as always. But yeah, lots to dive into, lots to talk about. Let's throw some stuff on the screen. A few things that we'll be diving into today. Obviously, the ongoing casualty reports, the death toll continues to rise as we see these illegal war continue in the region. So definitely not a shock to anybody to see those numbers consistently go up. So we'll be talking about a lot of them. It has now crept over 1,000 there in Iran. We'll be talking about, obviously, the identities being released of the 4 service men and women from the U.S. that were killed. I believe the other 2 will probably follow sometime within the 24, 48 hours if it hasn't been released up to this point yet. I haven't seen it. But we'll be going on and honoring those that were needlessly sacrificed in Donald Trump's illegal war. We got a lot to talk about as far as the war powers resolution and the Senate vote on that, and how the Republicans are desperate to use Vladimir Putin's rhetoric. They're desperate to call this a special military operation and not a war. Unfortunately, Pete Hegseth and about 1,700 other Republicans have already screwed up and gone on camera calling this a war, calling them warriors, telling you how much war is hell. So they're not really going to get that over on the American people. But you can see the playbook that they're using, Vladimir Putin's playbook. If you don't call it a war, then you can get away with a lot more things. So we'll be diving into that. Not only that, but the War Powers Act of 1973. Confusing a lot of people. It's a lot of, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not going to lie. It makes absolutely no sense to try to curtail the powers of the executive branch, but then allow them to go in and use 60 days of combat and put in troops. And then basically all you got to do is notify Congress. So a lot of people kind of, obviously the Republicans are leaning back heavily on that. So I wanted to just dive into that a little bit later in the show. We're obviously going to be talking about the ongoing secondary effects, as we've been speaking about, that you're going to be feeling in your daily lives from this attack. It's not just U.S. servicemen and women losing their lives. It's not just innocent civilians and children being killed in the Middle East. There's also secondary impacts, secondary effects that we also have to speak about. And going to the gas pump is obviously going to be one of them. This is widely reported here, not only in Massachusetts, but all over the country. Axios doing some pretty good reporting. Gas prices seeing the biggest single-day spike in 3 years. Which I'm sure you guys have already noticed at the pump. We also had a few good moments. I know Kristi Noem showed her ugly ass face inside of Congress today and got her ass chewed out. I know she doesn't have an ass, so clearly that's been done many times before. But Tom Tillis had a couple good moments, and I know there was a bunch of good moments. I know Democrats really reamed her a new asshole, but I think it's more beneficial if we look at people on the other side of the aisle, on the same side of the aisle as Kristi Noem, really giving her the what, where, with, and who. You know what I mean? Because Tom Tillis blasted her on several different points, from shooting her dog to the goats, to obviously the mishandling of DHS, to Alex Preddy, to Renee Nicole Good, my apologies, to all of that. So I wanted to dive into a couple clips of that as well. Our boy Josiah over at Pondering Politics did a good job of kind of putting a lot of those clips together. We also have the bloodthirsty warmongers, just thirsty for more blood and thirsty for more war. Apparently, Lindsey Graham isn't happy with just the thousands that have been killed already. He wants the U.S. to get involved in other areas, in other aspects. He wants to join Israel in their fight, basically all over the planet, to take on everyone, basically. So we'll be looking at Lindsey Graham after a couple of schnapps, let's just say, I think, talking about how the U.S. should expand this war that we're in. We also have Pete Hegseth with some more asinine, inhumane, ridiculous, fucking unspeakable, unthinkable comments that we'll have to be diving into as well. And then, of course, as we have been the last couple of days, if we have some time, we'll be going in through some of the clips, through some of the news stories, some of the videos that have been coming in. I know some video coming in from Tel Aviv as the Iron Dome fails. Again, the consulates and the embassies and the bases that have been struck so far on the U.S. side, really raising some questions, raising some red flags as to the effectiveness of our air defenses, of the capabilities of keeping these people safe in the region going forward. So we'll obviously be speaking about that as well. Lots to talk about. As usual, what do you say we dive into it? Thank you, guys. Hit that like button again. I'm Boston Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, where we absolutely don't sugarcoat anything, and anybody can get it at any time. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, what color you are, what your beliefs are, what you like or what you don't like. Anybody can catch it. So anybody's going to catch them hands. All right, let's dive into the first kind of article that I wanted to take a look at here. Obviously, just kind of a general recap here by Al Jazeera on some of the numbers, some of the things that have taken place over the last 24, 48 hours. Obviously, we've been diving deeply into this. So this is Al Jazeera saying Iran, now the death toll is now over 1,000. In Iran, the number of people killed in 5 days of U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran has topped 1,000. The state media says as the conflict engulfs the region, Turkey says a ballistic missile fired from Iran was destroyed by NATO air and missile defense systems in eastern Mediterranean Sea. The target was the missile. The target of the missile was not immediately clear. And here's another ridiculous kind of crazy thing that people have been talking about. I believe this is the first time since World War II where a submarine has used a torpedo to sink an enemy vessel. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but a U.S. submarine has sunk an Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. And I do believe that is the first time that has taken place since World War II. Democratic lawmakers slammed President Trump's justifications for attacking Iran, warning the U.S. may be headed for a ground assault in an open-ended engagement with no end in sight as Donald Trump continues to be unable to rule out boots on the ground. Pete Hegseth unable to rule out boots on the ground. Marco Rubio unable to rule out boots on the ground. So this is definitely going to expand, going to continue. You can just tell from the rhetoric. But yeah, we're now up over 1,000 people now dead in Iran alone. We also have some other reports here from other places. So let me throw this on your screen. So as of March 4th, 2026, over 1,000 people have been killed in 5 days of intense U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. You can see here U.S. personnel. Obviously, we've talked about the 6 U.S. soldiers that were killed following a strike on their command center in Kuwait. In Lebanon, at least 50 deaths and 300 injured were reported due to strikes. Israel, at least 11 deaths reported. You can see the again, the red flags and the kind of I don't want to say devastation, but the hit taking to the reputation of the air defenses, with these strikes going through, with the attacks from the slow, low-moving Shahed drones, again, on the 5th Fleet there. This rapid escalation characterized a new war, began with widespread air attacks, as we've covered, on the Iranian infrastructure, resulting in significant mounting casualties across the region. And those, let me see if I can throw this on here, because we were discussing this right here, because AP has done a pretty good job at reporting on this. The U.S. soldiers who died in Iran war remembered as devoted parents and reservists. I put out a video yesterday on Instagram, kind of, just reminding people that we don't want to get these soldiers that have been needlessly sacrificed wrapped up in Donald Trump's, illegal war, their campaign. We should be able to separate and highlight their service to this country. And again, the AP doing a good job here at reporting. And I just want to make sure that we, go over the names of those that have been lost. And like I said, the other 2 names I'm sure will be released soon, as the family has been notified and the proper time has gone by. So this is in West Des Moines. This is Sergeant First Class Nicola Moore was just days away from returning home to her husband and 2 children when a drone strike at Command Center Kuwait killed her and 5 other U.S. service members. She was almost home, her husband said, from their home in White Bear Lake, Minnesota on Tuesday. You don't go to Kuwait thinking something's going to happen. And for her to be one of the first, it hurts. And that's what we talked about yesterday, as far as, how heart-wrenching it is to think about the fact that they didn't get the ability to say the proper goodbyes, as somebody that was knowingly going into a war zone, knowingly putting themselves into a situation like we're now seeing go on. But so it was Sergeant First Class Nicola Moore, and she was from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. There was also Captain Cody Cork, 35, of Winter Haven, Florida. Sergeant First Class Noah Tijenz, pardon me if I'm mispronouncing that, 42, of Bellevue, Nebraska. And Sergeant Declan Cody, 20 years old, of West Des Moines, Iowa, who was posthumously promoted to from specialist. No other names were released. These men and women all bravely volunteered to defend our country, and their sacrifice will never be forgotten, Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll said. All were assigned to the 103rd Sustainment Command, which provides food, fuel, water, and ammunition, transport equipment, and supplies. Sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. That's the way it is, President Trump said of the deaths. You can see the cold, callous nature in which they're discussing this. And then, again, along those lines, to hear something like this being said, to hear the Secretary of Defense go out in front of the nation and basically demean the media for reporting on the deaths that we've seen, reporting on the reality on the ground, and basically calling that fake news, just goes to show how much they are, how selfish they are in this regard, how much they don't care about who's put in harm's way, and it's only their political goals, or basically the people underneath Donald Trump protecting Donald Trump's, reputation in this, that they're doing this for. It has nothing to do with anything, protecting the fucking homeland, defending democracy in foreign places, none of that. He makes it quite clear in all of his speeches that the rules of war, the rules of engagement, international law, they don't apply here. We don't care. We're going to bomb and strike anybody. I believe he even says he equates it to punching Iran while they're down. You know what I mean? So, and then this is here where he calls it fake news. Again, when the media is reporting on the deaths that we've seen here by the U.S. military. Check this out.
Bad, but this is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report.
To even suggest that, a couple drones got through and that it's the media's fault and they did something wrong by reporting on these casualties, reporting on the deaths. from the drones that just happened to get through, again, raising red flags, raising questions all over the place. If we have the biggest air base, if we have the biggest base in general, the biggest U.S. air base in the Middle East region, the Al Udeid air base getting struck, if we have consulates, if we have embassies getting struck, I mean, it raises a lot of fucking questions as to, again, why people weren't evacuated from these areas beforehand, or why more air defense systems weren't installed, why these people aren't better protected behind the front lines. And basically, that's another aspect of this too. Pete Hegseth not showing respect to soldiers that aren't on the front lines, right? These people were killed far behind the lines. They were killed in a remote, operating center. That's not a warrior to Pete Hegseth, right? They didn't die a soldier's death. They didn't die an honorable death to Pete Hegseth. So why are we reporting on it, right? There's better aspects of this that we could report on as far as Pete Hegseth is concerned. So you can see the disrespect that they hold in their hearts for these fucking people as well.
The reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. This is
it's just an absolute embarrassment, a disgrace on the world stage. I mean, again, everything he's saying is insane. Everything he's saying is just out of fucking bounds. And goes to show you exactly what this administration, what this regime is intending to do, what their end goals are in this, is just to cause the most chaos and to cause the most bloodshed possible. There's no other end goal been reported. There's no other way to read this. It's impossible to read it any other way. When you're, again, disregarding international law on the rules of engagement, when you're disregarding international law on how to treat and go about, engagements like this, when you've gone around Congress to engage in a war without the approval and authorization of Congress, which is how it's supposed to go, how it should fucking go. The people should get to decide how their representatives, again, the people in the U.S. military that took an oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I think we should get a say on when they're deployed and how they're used and when they're put in harm's way. But again, now they're trying to skirt that all. It's not a war, ladies and gentlemen, even though thousands of people are dying, the widespread nature of it, the amount of countries that have been hit, the amount of people that are involved. It's not a war. It's a special military operation. Again, a page right out of Vladimir Putin's own fucking playbook, which is fucking disgusting in itself. You know what I mean? To not be able to recognize this, even though they've all come on TV and talked about the warriors and talked about how war is hell. Now they're all fucking retracing their steps, apparently getting a memo from Mike Johnson saying, hey, we got to cut this out, the war talk. Stop calling it a war. This isn't a war. We have to call it an operation, which is absolutely fucking nonsense in this regard. So again, we go on here with this article depicting the U.S. service members here. One of the youngest in his class, Cody, who had just told his father last week that he had been recommended for a promotion from specialist to sergeant, a rank he received posthumously. He was one of the youngest people in his class, but seemed to impress his instructors. His father, Andrew Cody, said Tuesday he was very good at what he did. Cody trained as an information technology specialist with the Army Reserves and was studying cybersecurity at Drake University in Des Moines. He was taking online classes while in Kuwait and wanted to become an officer. I still don't fully think it's real, his sister Kiera said. I just remember all of our conversations about what he was doing and when he was going back, when he came back. A mother of two. Loved gardening. Amor, 39, was an avid gardener who enjoyed making salsa from the peppers and tomatoes in her garden with her son, a senior in high school. She also enjoyed rollerblading and bicycling with her 4th grade daughter. So again, just putting a little bit of humanity back into this, where Pete Hegseth refuses to do so. Cork was very patriotic and drawn from a very young age to serve in the U.S. military. His family said in a statement he enlisted in the Army Reserve and joined Florida Southern College ROTC program. Tijen lived with his family in Washington Terrace Mobile Home Park in the Omaha suburb of Bellevue, Nebraska. He was married with a son, according to his Facebook page. Again, just people there that have been needlessly sacrificed in Donald Trump's game that he's been playing as political pawns, as political weapons being wielded by this fucking unstable, unruly regime in attempts to try to take out another regime, which is just fucking ridiculous. But again, people are discussing this as well, something that should have absolutely happened well before the illegal war actually took place, actually initiated. But this is by The Guardian here, the Senate to vote on war powers resolution to prevent Trump from continuing Iran conflict. Unfortunately, the Republicans are expected to vote down the resolution, along with John Fetterman, introduced by Democrats who condemned Trump for launching strikes without congressional approval. Senate Republicans are on Wednesday expected to vote down a Democratic-backed war powers resolution that would prevent Donald Trump from continuing the conflict against Iran, with John Thune, the majority leader, arguing the president is, quote, acting in the best interest of the nation. Not sure how that's fucking even debatable at this point at that regard. It's just ridiculous that to think that anything that's taking place right now is in the best interests of America when we were under no direct threat whatsoever. Democrats have condemned Trump for ordering an air campaign against Iran without seeking permission from Congress, while offering shifting explanations from its objectives. The War Powers Resolution, introduced by Democratic Senators Tim Kaine, Adam Schiff, and Chuck Schumer, the minority leader, would force an end to U.S. participation in the current hostilities and require the president to go to Congress before re-entering the war. Quote, we shouldn't be at war without a debate and a vote. That was the framers intended. Kaine told reporters on Tuesday, quote, we protect our troops when we do it the right way. We put them at risk when we do it the wrong way. The resolutions will require 50 votes to advance. Democrats control 47 seats, but John Fetterman, the Pennsylvania senator, said he will oppose the resolution, meaning they'll need at least 5 Republicans to join with them for it to succeed. The odds of that happening dimmed on Tuesday when Thune told reporters he believes Trump has the proper authorization for the campaign, which the U.S. military is carrying out alongside Israel. And again, I'm sure, no doubt, pointing to this right here, the War Powers Resolution of 1973, which, again, every time I try to read it, makes less sense to me. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 is a congressional resolution designed to limit the U.S. president's ability to initiate or escalate military actions abroad. Okay, it's supposed to limit that. But as part of our system of governmental checks and balances, the law aims to check the executive branch power when committing U.S. military forces to an armed conflict without consent of the U.S. Congress. It stipulates the president must notify Congress within 48 hours of military action and prohibits armed forces from remaining more than 60 days. The Constitution divides war powers between Congress and the president, as we know. Only Congress can declare war and appropriate the military funding, yet the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Again, this all stems from here. Nevertheless, the heavy U.S. military involvement, prolonged Korean and Vietnam conflicts in the 50s and 60s without congressional declarations blurred the lines between presidential and congressional powers regarding the approval of the conduct of war. The congressional frustrations peaked during Nixon's administration when the secret bombings of Cambodia during the Vietnam War were ordered without congressional consent. Congress then passed the War Powers Resolution of 1973, intending to limit the president's authority to wage war and reasserted the authority over foreign wars. President Nixon vetoed the bill, right? However, Congress overrode his veto, and the resolution became law following the U.S. withdrawal from Vietnam in early 1963. Since the War Powers Resolution of 1973, I think I said 63 before, the presidents have submitted over 132 reports to Congress. These includes airlift and evacuation operations carried out in Cambodia, Beirut, Lebanon, Persian Gulf War, basically stipulating that you can't keep them in there more than 60 days, and you have to notify Congress within 48 hours. But how does that limit the power of the president? You know what I mean? How does that limit him from sending our troops into harm's way without the declaration of war from Congress? To me, that just gives him the outright ability to do so and just claim that everything is not a war. Everything is just a special military operation, and just bullshit the people going on from there, because we never see the withdrawal in 60 days without the congressional approval, right? It just, again, maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe I'm looking into it wrong and there's more to it. But to me, it just makes absolutely no sense that we were trying to limit the power of the executive branch, limit the power of the president to go around Congress and declare war himself. But inevitably, it gave him the guidelines and the ability to do just that. I mean, does that, again, am I reading it wrong? I don't know. Somebody's got to fill me in on that one, because that one just absolutely doesn't make any sense to me. But what does make sense to me is this: the fact that you're now going to be seeing an exponential rise, not only in your filling up your vehicles, but I'm sure it's going to trickle down into energy costs as well. Gasoline and diesel prices spike overnight as anxious drivers fill up tanks. And again, all due to the ongoing and illegal war initiated and started by Donald Trump. The average price for a gallon of gasoline jumped 11 cents overnight. You guys were telling me about this in the chat yesterday. I believe it was, who was it yesterday? Was it Jordan yesterday? Excuse me if I'm getting that wrong, but somebody yesterday was filling me in on just how much it rose since yesterday. So overnight in the U.S. and drivers in Europe waited in line to fill their tanks with fuel as war engulfed in the Middle East and shipments of oil and gas were stranded in the Persian Gulf. Depending on the duration of the war, the pain of higher prices could increase in the coming weeks and may be felt more heavily in areas reliant on imports. Right now, the worst of it is centered in Europe because Europe is a net importer, said Susan Bell, Senior Vice President of Commodity Markets and Rystad Energy. Diesel prices spiked 27% in Europe since Friday, rising about 62 cents per gallon. It's gone up substantially because Europe is so constrained on diesel supply. In the U.S., a gallon of regular was selling for $3.11 on average, according to the Motor Club. Surprising some drivers at the pump, gasoline prices were already rising before the U.S. launched strikes on Iran as refiners switched over to summer blends of fuel. Summer blends of gasoline are more expensive because additives are added to help keep the gasoline from evaporating in the heat, and prices tend to increase on demand, yada, yada, yada. Ann Dulski paid $15 more than usual to fill up her tank at Jackson, Mississippi gas station on Tuesday. Again, this is now widely reported. This is also coming from a Massachusetts article as well. The average price of gas in Massachusetts increased 7 cents per gallon overnight as the conflict in the Middle East rages on. As of Wednesday, the average price in the state is $3.04, up 14 cents just from last week. Other New England states, such as Connecticut, it's up 8 cents. Rhode Island, up 9 cents. The average price per gallon, $3.04 for both states. Meanwhile, the national average is $3.19 per gallon, up 9 cents overnight and 22 cents compared to last week. This is the first time since December the national average has reached over $3. AAA said that Iranian attacks on oil and gas infrastructures in the region and blockages of cargoes through the Straits of Hormuz, where nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through, are driving forces behind the higher prices. And again, Axios also doing some pretty good reporting on this. Gas prices see the biggest single-day spike in 3 years as Iran war jolts market. You can see here the instability there and the effects of gasoline prices jumping as oil price spikes following the U.S. and Israel strikes on Iran, reflecting market fears of extended geopolitical upheaval. Americans use about 370 million gallons of gas per day, so price increases have an immediate effect on their pocketbook and mood about the economy. Again, this already very unpopular act is beginning to get even more unpopular, and they're starting to feel the effects on the other side here, as it marks the highest point since October 9th, according to data supplied by Axios of the Oil Price Information Service. Between the lines, Tom Close, a longtime oil analyst now working for the Gulf Oil, tells Axios that he expects the national average price to reach a high of $3.25 to $3.50 in the next coming weeks. Price will jump even higher in western U.S., he predicts. So people in California, get ready for even more exorbitant gas prices there. And obviously this stems from the sudden increase in petroleum prices as traders fear disruption in crude supplies from the Middle East. The price of West Texas intermediate crude is up about $8 per barrel since the attacks began. So again, the secondary impacts, the secondary effects of this and what you're going to be feeling at the pump already starting to take effect, already starting to have an impact on your bottom line, on your pocketbook, on your wallet, and something that we told you to look out for. But again, the president of peace, ladies and gentlemen, the president of no foreign wars, no new wars, was going to get all the prices down, was going to end the war in Ukraine. All of the things that he promised, we're now seeing the complete and total fucking opposite. Okay? The complete and total fucking opposite. Prices up. More wars. War still raging in Ukraine. We're on the side of Vladimir Putin instead of our allies. We're fucking attacking Greenland. We're attacking our NATO partners. We're all over. We're fucking cutting off trade partners. We're now, we're now cutting off ties with Spain, according to Donald Trump. We're just going to cut off all ties with Spain because we don't like them. They're not being good to us. They're being mean to us, apparently. So Donald Trump's just going to chop them off, just going to cut it off, all trade in any business done with Spain, according to his latest statements, though. But let's jump into this next clip because it's always good to see a Republican get her ass reamed out or their ass reamed out in front of cameras. Definitely something that we need to take a look at. And this was Kristi Noem, I believe, this morning, answering questions on her lack of leadership, her lack of judgment, and basically the egregious nature in which DHS has been handled since she took over. And again, this is from Republican Tom Tillis. And like I said, there was a bunch of other clips from this. There was a bunch of great moments from this that you can take a look at. I just think it's more beneficial to take a look at somebody on the Republican side of the aisle going at her more than, say, a Democrat or, somebody that we would expect to have these lines of questioning. All right, so let's dive into this. This is Republican Tom Tillis blasted Kristi Noem for shooting her dog and goat and questioned her judgment and leadership at DHS. Again, always good to see somebody calling her out. Let's check this out.
Secretary, I read your book last week. And honestly, some of the parts of it impressed me, but some of it distresses me. And I'll give you a good example of one that does. The passage where you talk about killing a dog that was 14 months old. I train dogs, all right? And you are a farmer. You should know better. You should know that if you're going out to a hunting lodge and you're putting pheasants out and you're putting dogs out, you don't take a puppy out there. A 14-month-old dog is basically a teenager in dog years. You decided to kill that dog because you had not invested the appropriate time in training, and then you have the audacity to go into a book and say it's a leadership lesson about tough choices. It's in your book. We could play it if we had time. At that same lunch hour, you killed a goat. And you killed the goat because you said it was behaving badly. You are a farmer. You don't castrate a goat. They behave badly. You should have probably done that before. But my point is, those are bad decisions made in the heat of the moment, not unlike what happened up in Minneapolis. I expect we're an exceptional nation. And one of the reasons we're exceptional is we expect exceptional leadership. And you've demonstrated anything but that in the time that I've seen you responding to the emergency in North Carolina and across the Southeast, and acknowledging when mistakes are made and speaking too soon for the expedient of social media or whatever it is. I'll leave you with this, Ms. Noem. I'm expecting answers to Charlotte's Web. I requested it a month ago.
And again, I'm no fan of Tom Tillis by any stretch of the imagination, but I do appreciate him going at Kristi Noem like that, the way that she, rightly should be gone after for her lack of leadership, her failures. Not only that, but her lies that she's told in front of the cameras, her demeaning American citizens and calling them domestic terrorists. She was rightly called out for that too. People like Jamie Raskin. But again, there's a couple more clips from this. Let me see if I can dive into this next one as well. This is where after absolutely eviscerating Kristi Noem, he calls for her resignation, and then Tillis actually gets a round of applause from the people that are watching. This is a pretty crazy moment too. Check this out.
Those people, and I want to detain fewer of the others. And Mr. Chair, in my remaining time, I have a lot to go. But I want to submit this letter from the Office of the Inspector General that cites 10 different instances under Ms. Noem's leadership where they've been misled and not allowed to pursue investigations that they think are critically important. Does anybody have any idea how bad it has to be for the OIG in this agency to come out and do this publicly? That is stonewalling. That's a failure of leadership. And that is why I've called for your resignation. And if I don't get an answer to these questions, I don't want an applause. Please don't do that for me.
Quite literally getting a round of applause, right? At this fucking hearing, a round of applause for calling for Kristi Noem's resignation. That is how much a shit job she's done. That's how much people cannot stand her. That's how much people recognize her lack of leadership, her lack of fucking any qualities that would lead her in to get that position whatsoever. Right? A fucking round of applause for her, for Tom Tillis demanding her resignation is fucking wild shit in there. You know what I mean? And Josiah here at Pondering Politics did a pretty good job of putting together a couple of these clips as well. Some of them may be one of the ones that we just watched, but there are a few more instances. So I just want to jump into a couple of these too.
It is glorious.
Now, why have I been critical of Secretary Noem? Because I don't think we're focusing on, we have limited resources. ICE can't be everywhere at once. There's very few people in Capitol Hill that support law enforcement more than me, including the sworn ICE officers. In fact, I've just been told, fortunately, in about a week and a half, we're going to get a plaque on the wall over the Capitol, thanking the Capitol police officers and all the agencies that responded on January 6th. All those thugs have actually been pardoned, and yet we haven't thanked the Capitol police officers for their work here. So when I say I'm unapologetically pro-law enforcement, you can count in every single sworn officer in Homeland Security.
So again, rightly calling out the hypocrisy of putting up a plaque and saying that you're pro-law enforcement and you back the blue as, again, the guy you represent, the guy you're defending, the guy, in the Epstein files over 1 million times, is pardoning, is letting the criminals, the violent criminals that were responsible for death and destruction on January 6th out of jail so they can continue committing crimes, as we've seen a bunch of them go on to do. And at least Tom Tillis is calling her out for that as well. So I do appreciate that he's a scumbag. Absolutely. I do appreciate that he's absolutely responsible for what we're seeing right now, but also for him, at least at this point in time, calling out Kristi Noem for her epic fucking failures at DHS. And again, her lack of leadership, her lack of accountability, and the lies that she's told. But to bring up January 6th and to relate it to January 6th and to talk about the plaque as Donald Trump's pardoning these fucking individuals, again, is something that, we should continue to appreciate these assholes talking about as bad as they are. You know what I mean? It goes on. There's a couple more clips from this we can dive into as well.
Lives in Minneapolis. I've heard that report. Maybe you can refute it. I don't know that we'll have time for you to respond because I'm giving you a performance evaluation here. I'm not looking for a response.
So again, he does kind of rip her a new asshole in this too. Let me see if I can go on. There's a few more too. Let me see. This one here is pretty good.
It's because of his party's leader. Kristi Noem has agency. It's his fault. He should be ripping her ass a new one. But a fish rots from the head, right? And Donald Trump is the one who's created this environment. So let's continue.
I will ask you one question, if you can just give me a quick response. Who does Tom Homan work for? You or the president?
The president.
Okay. Why is that? Because I believe the president recognized that you weren't getting it done in Minneapolis, and you're putting us further away from pointing to this. We're beginning to get the American people to think that deporting people is wrong. It's the exact opposite. The way you're going about deporting them is wrong. The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation, is going to prove that Miss Good and Mr. Petty probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that. You don't protect them by not looking after the facts.
Love it. Love to hear it. I think it's murder. I wish he would call it murder. He's teeing up. He's getting close, right? He's edging us there. He's getting perilously close. He certainly believes it's an unjustified homicide for both Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy.
So he's brought up the shootings in Minneapolis. He's brought up January 6th. He's brought up the fact that she shot her dog. He's brought up the fact that she shot her goat. He's brought up the fact that she sucks at her job and is the furthest thing from, leadership quality that you could possibly think of. So again, a good job from a Republican tearing down another Republican. And again, goes to show you the divide here. Between not only the MAGA base, but also the Republican/conservatives versus the MAGA base that you continue to see. So again, no flowers, no credit to Tom Tillis for anything. He's 100% responsible and continues to defend some of the most horrendous and egregious acts from this regime. So no fucking flowers to him. But again, as to use a Republican's words against a Republican, I don't think there was a better example of that from this this hearing here. And again, her showing her lack of leadership, her showing her lack of qualities was pretty apparent and pretty well done, both by the Democrats on there and by Tom Tillis. I didn't see any of the other Republicans, so I can't speak to that. But what do you say we dive on to this? This is, again, one of the more, telling pieces of fucking, one of the more telling clips that we could pull up here to show you what a neocon, bloodthirsty fucking asshole that would never in a million years put himself in harm's way. Again, anybody not calling for Lindsey Graham to now head to the fucking front lines himself is doing themselves a disservice and doing this country a disservice, because here's Lindsey Graham, again, trying to implore the president to join Israel to attack more people, to get involved in a broader conflict here, because he's not seeing enough death and destruction in the conflict that we've just started now. So he wants more partnership between us and Israel. He wants Israel to get us involved in more aspects in ongoing bombings and wars. Check this out. This is fucking, again, it sounds like to me he's had a few pops. Oh, Lindsey.
About it. So I'm calling on President Trump today. Join Israel to attack Hezbollah. Avenge the Marines. America never forgets. Those 220 Marines and 18 sailors' families, we want to go after the infrastructure that killed your loved ones. Their IRGC assets in Beirut as I speak. President Trump, come up with a new operation called Simplify. fly with Israel and go after Hezbollah, who has American blood on its hands. Not only
Don't you think that Israel's gotten us in enough shit? Hasn't Israel gotten us into enough shit already? We're going to follow them into more fucking, theaters of war. We're going to start killing more and more people. I mean, these fucking people are so bloodthirsty, right? They are just so disgusting in their fucking disregard for human life and their ability to just send people to their deaths so they could profit from it, either, financially or politically. It's just something I will never fucking comprehend, right? I will just never comprehend. I understand when you're attacked. I understand self-defense. I understand all of that. But as far as this is concerned, this is anything but, okay? There is no justification. There is no excuse. They're all saying something fucking different. They're all using different justifications. They're going back to the 70s. They're going back to the 80s because they know damn well they don't have anything to speak about now. But here's Lindsey Graham, again, one of the more fucking disgusting people, and I'm trying to save myself here. I'm really trying to save myself from a strike or getting thrown off of this motherfucker. I really am. But listen to this. He continues.
the mothership of Iran down, also take the proxy of Hezbollah, settle the score, even the account.
Settle the score, even the accounts. I mean, these people they just can't help themselves. They just cannot help themselves with sending people into harm's way for something that they believe is, again, politically expedient for them, or somehow they can financially profit from it on the back end. Their donors are more than happy to start shelling money over if they can get these things done. We all know the fucking Israeli lobby has some pretty fucking tight control over these politicians. And it's just fucking, I don't know, it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. Chelsea says Lindsey is a knob. I think that's saying it mildly, right? Putting it lightly. But again, I'm trying to behave here. But I appreciate your sentiment. All right, let's take a look at some of the, again, asinine and ridiculous comments here by Pete Hegseth, talking about this and speaking about this, and how callously he refers to what's been taking place, how much he tries to emphasize that this is like the most, I don't know, fucking the biggest political, the biggest military victory in history. Like, it's asinine the way he speaks about it. But here's Pete Hegseth, and again, here's just a couple moments from this, and then we'll call it out after. But listen to the way he speaks about this.
Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Thus far, Operation Epic Fury has delivered twice the air power
Epstein Fury
of shock and awe of Iraq in 2003, minus Paul Bremer and the nation.
Remember when before this kicked off, when I was like, you know what you can expect is like what I was predicting, what I was expecting, and I'm sure this is no like, big pat on the back. I'm sure with the military buildup, anybody that kind of had an awareness or some sort of knowledge about it we're calling for the same things. But remember when we told you it was going to be a shock and awe, and I was saying, what you can expect is basically another shock and awe campaign like we saw. I mean, that's exactly what he's trying to get across here. And now he's trying to say that we've dropped and used 7 times more. I don't know if he says ammunition or whatever, these fucking missiles or whatever the fuck he's talking about here. But again, that's exactly what he's trying to get accomplished. But what they're trying to say is the goal is like a broader regime change that we know probably isn't. Hold on, shut up, Pete. I told you not to talk. That is probably not going to be able to be accomplished, again, by the process that now we're now in, which is why they're not able to rule out boots on the ground going forward, because they know damn well, like everybody else knows damn well, it's going to be extremely difficult to get what they want to get done without sending, again, American troops with their fucking boots on the soil of Iran to do this, that, or the other thing. You know what I mean? So again, him unable to be able to rule it out should scare the shit out of everybody and should tell you that the intentions here are not a short, confined campaign. This is going to be a prolonged thing, and they guarantee they have plans already in motion for that exact thing that we've been dreading, which is, again, probably boots on the ground, which everybody says is stupid, unachievable, but never put it past this regime for trying to get that done.
The campaign has 7 times the intensity of Israel's previous operations against Iran during the 12-day war. 7 times. And as President Trump said, more and larger waves are coming. We are just getting started.
And again, how militarily ridiculous is that? Right? Like, wouldn't you want like an overwhelming strike right off the bat to disable their ability to retaliate? Like, wouldn't you want again, it just doesn't make sense militarily to me to be like, okay, we've kind of, we've done the light hits now. We've seen 6 of our soldiers die, but now we're sending in the real waves. Now we're sending in the real attacks. This is when it really ramps up here. And again, the fact that he's not talking about Iran's ability to still strike U.S. consulates, U.S. embassies, the Fifth Fleet, Al Udeid Air Base, which is the biggest U.S. base in the fucking Middle East. The fact that those aren't being talked about, those questions aren't being raised here and posed to Pete Hegseth, and he doesn't want to bring that up, is pretty striking. Should tell you something as well. Pretty crazy. He goes on, though.
We are accelerating, not decelerating. Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters are arriving just today. And now, with complete control of the skies, we will be using 500-pound, 1,000-pound, and 2,000-pound GPS and laser-guided precision gravity bombs, of which we have a nearly unlimited stockpile. We used more exquisite standoff munitions at the
start.
So
listen to what they're saying here. Unlimited stockpile. Donald Trump said we could do this forever, right? Already laying the groundwork, already laying the foundation for you guys to get settled in for a really long campaign here, right? They're trying to already drill it down to you that, okay, don't expect this to be short. Don't expect this to be quick. Don't expect there not to be bloodshed on our side, is what they've been saying this whole entire time. And they continue to do that, which only leads us to believe that this campaign isn't going to be a 2, 3, 4 week long thing like Donald Trump says. We're looking at a much longer and more prolonged and sustained attack and war.
But no longer need to. Our stockpiles of those, as well as Patriots, remains extremely strong. The enemy can no longer shoot the volume of missiles they once did, not even close. And the chairman will lay out some of those percentages.
Yeah, I'm sure that the people of Tel Aviv would have something different to say. I'm sure the people of Qatar and Beirut and Jordan in the UAE, I'm sure they all would have something different to say, considering, again, the death toll that continues to rise in these areas because of the U.S. attacks. Right. So it's crazy to me that he continues to talk about this as if, like, again, innocent people aren't being killed all over the place and that Iran has been totally defeated already, without bringing up the fact that we've already, and again, it's been widely reported that strike on the Fifth Fleet did, in fact, do some pretty, substantial damage, not only obviously to the infrastructure there, but to the capabilities in the surrounding areas. Like, we're talking about one of the main aspects, the main players in our bases in our control in the Middle East there. So it definitely had an impact. It definitely had an effect. And we can definitely still see that Iran has the ability to strike very specific targets and get through the Iron Dome and get through the U.S. air defenses. So as much as Pete Hegseth wants you to believe that there's no danger here posed and that we've pretty much, got them under control, people are still dying every fucking day. Missiles are still being shot into surrounding areas. Bases are still being struck. Embassies are still being struck. Planes are still being shot down, whether by friendly fire. Missiles and drones are still creating fires in oil refineries. The Strait of Hormuz is still under threat, thus having a huge impact secondarily on the economy all over the world. Fucking nuts.
So our air defenses and that of our allies have plenty of runway. We can sustain this fight easily for as long as we need to.
And there you go. There you go. He continues with every fucking talk, with every interview, what Donald Trump says, what Pete Hegseth says, what Dan Kane says. It's getting you established. It's getting you ready for a prolonged action here. So again, anybody that thinks this is going to be, like a Caracas type of Venezuelan, get in, get Maduro and get out type of thing, has another thing fucking coming. And again, people are already switching sides. People are, Megyn Kelly's come out against it. We talked the other day about Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out against it. We've heard several Republican politicians question not only the justification, but the end goals associated with this. Obviously not going as far as the Democrats are in this, but you can still see that, the line starting to be drawn here of whether or not the Republicans are going to continue to follow this, knowing that the public's reaction is what it is, knowing that the sentiment and the favorability of this fucking war is in the gutter, is in the fucking basement right now. It's having an effect on how people speak about it as well. So there's other things. What was the other thing that I wanted to? There was one other thing. I believe Mike Johnson called he referenced the religion there as like, and excuse me if I'm paraphrasing this, but I believe he called it a misguided religion, if I'm not mistaken, in one of his recent press conferences there, trying to, again, demean anybody that isn't a Christian nationalist like himself. But I just want to remind everybody, the kind of people that are associated with this white Christian nationalism that is, prevalent in the Trump White House, the people that they look up to, the people that they celebrate, and the type of things that they do. And I just want to tell you, just let me know if you think, do you think this is misguided at all? Or is this normal, right? Do you think we in this country, or, the religious fucking zealots in the Trump administration have any leg to stand on as far as telling other people that their religion is misguided, or whatever word he used in this case? Just check this out. I just want to, again, this is Trump's fucking spiritual advisor, Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. And I just want you to say, do we have a leg to stand on? And again, I'm not putting us in the same category, but as the United States, do we have a leg to stand on in calling other religions misguided? Check this out.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rike tidi ashata. The angels have even been dispatched from Africa.
Oh, fuck me. But yeah, tell me how other religions are misguided. Please do tell me how other religions are misguided and how we have a leg to stand on, or how Mike Johnson has a leg to stand on in this regard. Please. No, it goes on. It gets better too. It gets better.
Africa right now, Africa right now, Africa right now, from Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here in the name of Jesus. From South America, they're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. From Africa.
Dude, she kind of has bars. I'm not gonna lie. If we threw a beat to this would probably slap.
South America, angelic forces, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement. Pika hata anda ata ora bata rata anda eke eke manda rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory.
Who's the fucking guy walking back and forth? Looks like he just got his newspaper from the fucking mailbox in the morning. Who's the random guy on the stage?
I hear the sound of victory.
Is he just
I
reading
hear
the paper?
The sound of victory.
Is he coming back?
I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of
He's
victory.
back!
I hear the sound of victory.
What's he doing? Where's the kid? What's he doing? Looks like he's just... Looks like he took a wrong turn down his pathway. How the fuck did I end up here? I just wanted the newspaper. What the fuck's going on?
Great.
Oh, again. But yeah, tell us again how other religions are misguided. Please, Mike Johnson. I would love to know. I would love to fucking know. Unbelievable, these people. It really is. And then there's a couple clips that I want to look at. We're not going to have too much time. But there are a couple updates, a couple clips from OSINT Defender and the accounts that have been pretty good at putting together some of the footage and some of the news reports of what's been taking place here. There was this one here from Tel Aviv. Let me throw this one on the screen. Tel Aviv just took a major hit, another week of this, and all that will be left to Tel Aviv is bunker. So again, I'm not necessarily putting this on here to display what the people are writing, but just the clips themselves here. But again, here's one of those clips.
זה כיפות ברזל לעבר שברים. וואי.
There's also some footage that's been circulating of one of the CNN anchors that was forced to kind of head to cover when the sirens went off in Tel Aviv. She was reporting from Tel Aviv. Here's another one here. The Irish Shahid Saeed Shirazi Soleimani class corvette serving with the Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has been targeted by U.S. in the Strait of Hormuz off the coast of Bandar Abbas Hormozgan province. Again, this is probably not going to lead to any stability as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, and I'm sure retaliation will follow from the Iranians, or at least threats of retaliation will follow. But again, more instability seen in the Strait of Hormuz, again leading to the shipping companies saying they're not going through, the rise in the insurance prices that we talked about. Here's overhead imagery from March 3rd from yesterday, showing a massive hole in the burnt-out hull of a Russian-flagged liquefied natural gas tanker. So we can absolutely celebrate this. The Arctic Medgaz, part of Russia's shadow fleet sanctioned by the United States, which reportedly caught fire yesterday in the Mediterranean after being targeted by an unidentified naval drone near Malta. And here's some footage of that. Unfortunate to see the environmental impact obviously stemming from this and the oil leaking into the Mediterranean there. But as far as, look at how old the fucking ship is too. Look at that thing. I mean, obviously it's been destroyed in the blast further, but you can definitely tell it was not properly maintained there. Again, as most of the shadow fleet, most of these fucking tankers that they're using tend to be just hunks of metal. But that's from that attack. Here's another angle of it here showing the entire ship. So again, anytime the Russians lose part of their shadow fleet is a good thing. And again, a lot of people feel like, a lot of Republicans feel like they can kind of get us in a gotcha moment as far as this is concerned. But we continue to say that we are no friends, no allies of the Iranian regime. Send them straight to hell. We understand the plight and the destruction that he laid upon the Iranian people in his fucking time in office, or excuse me, time in power. So obviously we know his affiliations. We know Iran's help to Russia with the Shahed drones and helping them with their war against Ukraine. So absolutely no fucking love lost in this regard, but we can still call out an illegal, unconstitutional war. We can still call out war crimes, and we can still call out our U.S. service military members being used as political pawns to distract from the Epstein files, to distract from Donald Trump's, destroying the economy in this country. Anything that to help Benjamin Netanyahu, anything to do Israel's bidding, a country that has been engaged in a genocide, a country that continues to lead Donald Trump by the nose into these different engagements to help do their bidding, Benjamin Netanyahu's bidding more specifically. But yeah, there's a couple other things here. There's a photo from an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. Final moments from the Dina, which I believe is the one that was torpedoed. So here's a photo of the Dina there that was just going under the waves. Let's see here. Video now just released of the sinking. Here's the video of that. I don't think there's any sound to it, but you can see it hit in the back there. Must have been quite a substantial torpedo. Looks like it says a Mach 48 torpedo. But that's a pretty substantial fucking blast in the back of that ship. One more time. Oh, let me get out of the way. Damn. That's a big ass blast right there. Big ass blast. All right, so that's that one. And then we go on here. Some photos of the briefing at the Pentagon detailing where the strikes from both the U.S. and Israel and strikes from Iran. You can quite clearly see the widespread nature of all the red. See all the red? Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait City. Again, in case anybody's wondering the widespread nature of this. Here are the Mark 48 torpedoes that were used in the sinking of the Dina off the coast of Sri Lanka. Massive fucking things, those things. And, there's a couple other ones here. Let's see here. There was one that I wanted to show you, there was one that showed the destruction of the U.S. Air Base. To show the impact from the drone that actually did impact there. Sirens now sounding on the southern Israel's IDF announces new launches of Iranian missiles and drones. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is another thing that I want to talk about. So we got another theater of operation here. So no, we're not talking about CENTCOM here. We're talking about SOUTHCOM, ladies and gentlemen. So SOUTHCOM forces launched a joint operation with Ecuadorian forces against designated terrorist organizations in Ecuador. So again, the expanding nature of the attacks here, the expanding nature of the engagements around the world by the United States Armed Forces. This is from, again, SOUTHCOM releasing their news that they took part in a joint operation with Ecuadorian forces to take out designated terrorist organizations in Ecuador. So again, just to show you the widespread nature of the use of the United States military right now. There's another one of those things that we got to be looking at. Let's see here. Iran has again made rather erroneous claims that they used a 380 Talaya anti-ship cruise missile at a U.S. destroyer and refueling ship at a standoff range in the Indian Ocean. While it is currently unlikely that it is true, we're seeing a similar pattern in this conflict as we saw in the conflict with the Houthis. Iran and the Houthis made claims of successful missile strikes, and the news is either disregarded by the recipients of the strikes due to their erroneous nature, or reports of the successful interceptions come soon after. Which one's this? Per the release of the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Defense, the Saudi armed forces successfully intercepted 9 Iranian drones that entered their airspace. I think there was a few more of these too. Let me see here. Share this tab. Let's see if we can go to right now, see if we're missing any breaking news. Oh, I'm running out of time too. My apologies. I always do that. I'm going to throw it over to Jeff over on this space. I keep forgetting on the early show. You guys got to keep reminding me, but I do appreciate Matt. I appreciate all the mods over on this space. Thank you to Jeff. Sorry if I'm eating into your show, my brother, but I will toss it over now. Anybody that's over here in Blood Politics, stick around so I can highlight and thank you guys for all of your contributions. But yeah, thank you to everybody on this space, to the mods, Matt, Jeff, take it away, my brother. Sorry if I'm going over. All right, appreciate you guys. Sorry about that. Somehow I'm getting lost in the sauce and losing track of time here very easily. Yes, we're going to be talking about that later tonight, Dame. So we'll be discussing obviously the primaries that everybody was taking a look at last night, the results from it that have been announced today. Obviously, a big congratulations to Major Ojeda in North Carolina's 9th district. I want to make sure that we give him his props. Very well deserved, very hard fought. Couldn't think of a better guy to represent that area. So that's something we'll be talking about tonight. I don't want you guys to think that I forgot about it or anything like that. Hey, what's up, CSL? Live rating from Twitch and a few sending YouTube to Brother Schechter today to spread the blue love around. Appreciate you, CSL. Thank you so much to everything for everything that you do over there, as well as all of the mods that we have over here. You guys are absolutely fantastic, and I can't thank you enough. Sorry, I know today is the short show and you guys tend to come in at the very end, and I do apologize, but that's just kind of the way it works on Wednesdays. You guys can always check out the late show tonight, 8:30 p.m. here on the East Coast, 5:30 on the West Coast. But I appreciate you, CSL, for showing some love, my brother. Yeah, her story. Yep, Ojeda. I'm telling you, it was a well deserved. Again, a great guy, friend of the show. And somebody that should be very proud of his victory there. So I appreciate you guys recognizing that. But yeah, let me get into thanking some people on the Venmo side of things. And then we'll get into the YouTube side of things, and I'll get you guys out of here. My apologies for keeping you guys over once again. I don't know how I keep doing that. So I want to say thank you to Roxanne, Thomas, Barbara, Christopher, and Jenny Faye. So all those from yesterday. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for everybody sending love over on Venmo. You too can send one right here. Just a buck or two. That's all I ask for. Buy me a coffee, buy me a Gatorade, whatever that may be. Chip in towards one, throw it in the swear jar. But we don't sell you anything here. There's no ad revenue. I'm not talking you about these, fantastic, floss things that I use that changed my life, and you should buy them too. None of my content is hidden behind a paywall. None of that bullshit. So it's, again, with your generosity, with your contributions, the only way that we continue to keep being able to do this show. So I appreciate you for getting me this far. Hopefully we can get on to 20,000 subscribers. We can start getting this this ball rolling, the wheel turning, and maybe one day we'll actually be a profitable show. Maybe we'll actually one day be able to not rob Peter and pay Paul. And it's with your help that we'll get there. So thank you to everybody on Venmo. Let me say we thank some people over here on YouTube. Thank you, Peter. First off, thank you. Didn't take long for the Russian propaganda special military op, right? Peter, I'm telling you, there was something that, they just cannot help themselves. The playbook that they go by, they're so dumb and they're so incompetent and they're so unable to come up with their own strategy that they are just so quick to pull up strategies and the playbooks written by these monsters, by the dictators of the past. Again, the Nazi playbook we've talked about, ad nauseum, and how much they've taken from that. Now talking about Vladimir Putin's playbook and how it's quite literally against the law in some regards to call it a war. You need to call it a special military operation. That way on the world stage, it looks a little bit different. He can get away with a little bit, he can get away with different actions when we don't call it. The same thing fucking here. You know what I mean? The less you call it a war, the less it seems like that Congress should have power and control over what takes place. The more it's just a special operation, the more it should be in the hands of the commander in chief without without Congress having to step in and get their grubby fingers dirty and mess up Donald Trump's plans. So there's a definite reason as to why they don't want you to call it a war, even though they continue to call it warriors and, talk about how war is hell. And, you can't be, don't be confused and don't be surprised when you see U.S. casualties in this regard, because it's war. But again, don't call it a war. So, Peter, you're absolutely right in that regard, too. Jeff Miller comes in with 10. Operation Epstein Fury sounds like my response to this. Cannot type some words here. Yeah, I know. They won't let you do it. I get what you're saying, though, Jeff. I get your sentiment, and I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Jordan. Iran has 80,000 Shahed drones. Well, it almost sounded like I saw a report the other day that Russia may have been sending Shaheds to Iran, which begs the question, how many Shaheds does fucking Russia have if they're able to send, either full drones or bits and pieces to Iran to keep them stocked? I'm not sure about that, but I did see a report. But I appreciate you, Jordan, on that one. Thank you for the $2 contribution. Thank you, Dame Dog, as always. Yes, we will be talking about that later this evening. Thank you, JD, for the super sticker. Thank you, Peter, once again. Not lost to any of us. BB can't survive peace with the elections in Israel coming later this year, the war crime to keep him out of prison. And again, it kind of works on both sides, right? So Donald Trump can definitely use that to his advantage, the same way that Benjamin Netanyahu has taught others to use it to this advantage. So the more instability, the more war, the more you can look like you can't be taken out of power now while this existential threat is going on, or while you're in commander of the armed forces, while we're engaged in a war. Like, no way we can have these corruption trials go on. No way we can have elections. Meanwhile, they all love to yell and scream and point at Zelensky in Ukraine, even though it's part of the constitution of the country. Even though it just makes sense where people in the country can't vote in the presidential election or elections in general. So again, it makes no sense. The hypocrisy is pretty clear to see. And I appreciate you, Peter, for jumping in there. Appreciate your contributions. What's up, Blunt Front? What's going on, my man? Appreciate that. And I'm sorry to gender you there. I'm not sure if you're a man or woman, but I do appreciate you either way. Thank you so much for the 5. And I hope you guys have a great day. I really do. We'll be back later tonight for the longer show. We'll be able to get more kind of in depth into these things. We'll be talking about, again, the primary. We'll be talking about, obviously, the ongoing aspects of the war with Iran. And we're going to be getting into more Ukraine updates tonight. So a lot that we haven't been taking a look at as far as Ukraine. We're typically looking every single day, multiple times a day. That's what's taking place there. But because of the engagements here, because of the widespread nature of the war with Iran. We've been doing our due diligence in trying to cover that. So we're going to be kind of branching out tonight and covering more of what we normally cover. So please come back tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Hit that like button on the way out. I'm Boston Brian. Subscribe to the channel. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Make sure you keep your head in a swivel if you're going out there protesting, if you're going out there to, again, support your community, whatever it may be. Make sure you're keeping your head in a swivel out there nowadays. You just never know. I want you guys all to stay safe, but also be able to get out there and show your displeasure for the regime that is now in place. So again, I'll see you later on this evening, 8:30 right here. Hit that notification bell. It'll tell you when I go live. That way you don't have to be ready. And again, thank you to the mods. Thank you to the chat. Really do appreciate you guys. You guys are the best chat on earth. I know you guys always come in. I understand. I know that's just how it works on Wednesdays. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. All of the sparklers. You guys are amazing. I love your support. But unfortunately, we just have that overlap on Wednesdays. So we only have the hour here on Wednesday afternoons. But I will see you guys this evening. Make sure any of the sparklers that have now come in, please make sure you come back this evening, and we can talk about it a little bit further. There are no overlaps this evening, so I go on after Hal tonight, so you guys can be sure to watch both shows, and there's no ifs or ors, or you don't have to go back and forth on that one. So Cosmic Rose, all of the sparklers, I appreciate you guys for coming in. Sorry it's always at the end of the show here on Wednesday, but please come back this evening after Hal's show, and I'll be sure to get you caught up on all of the news going on in the United States and abroad. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you again to the mods. Thank you to the chat. I'm out of here. Thank you to Matt and this space. Thank you to everybody over there. I really do appreciate you guys. I really do. So yeah, Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, fuck Donald Trump, Chinga la migra. I'll see you guys this afternoon. All right. I appreciate you. Peace. Yeah, I know. I'm not too high up on anybody's list at 250. I understand. I come second. So whenever you guys are done watching your favorite shows, make sure you pop on over. I kid. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You know I do. At 250, I really do. So 8:30 p.m. here, right, same place, same time. Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. Appreciate it. Talking about the fundraiser tonight, Alyosha. I'm giving you updates on the fundraiser and the campaign this evening. We are over 80%, over 16,632 euro raised. So thank you guys for all that. We're talking about it tonight. Okay. Thank you, Yakov. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Mac.
To officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. Water coming here is dead.
Brian, yeah, you're drunk. You're drunk. Brian, yeah, you're drunk. You're drunk.
It feels so lovely to be here, man. What a beautiful love. Give yourselves a round of applause. So
Nothing. Everyone said nothing.
I'm just dandy. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants. Yesterday's a hard word for me.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
A crescendo, a finale, a coup de grace.
I'm just an average guy who read public documents where the elite said they were going to enslave us and destroy America, and I'm not going to be like yuppie scum and deny the threat to my country. I'm going to fight back. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
No way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
He says rectum damn near killed him. Never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting, never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late.
My apologies again to the Spartans. I do appreciate you guys coming in late there. Before you jump into the 8:30 show tonight, I do appreciate you guys. Taking breath. Nick, Kenny Faye, Mac, Smith. Let you guys go. Make sure you hit that thumbs on the way out, all right? Okay, down or up. Just hit